Since 2022, the archaeological excavations at Nakanakuig have shown us that it has been a site of human activity for over 5,000 years. Beginning with a square wooden structure in the Neolithic, the site was significantly enlarged during the Bronze Age, culminating in the Iron Age with a large mound surrounded by a massive water-filled ditch. This last, and arguably most impressive iteration, suggests that the site was now a significant geopolitical centre and a place of gathering, feasting and rituals. Human sacrifice was often a part of sovereignty and kingship rituals during the Iron Age, which makes the finding of partial human remains in the base of the ditch an intriguing discovery. Armed with these clues, the dig team returned for a third year with renewed enthusiasm to continue their investigations.
We have an idea now of the morphology of this monument based on the surviving aerial photographs, based on the map representations, the first edition and the second edition, and based on what we've done for the last 2 years. This year is to complete the excavation of this central barrow, so that's why we're focusing on very particular areas just to kind of answer conclusively what we think we know from the last 2 years.
This is only day 3 for me, so I'm still really early in the process of learning about how an archaeological dig works.
It's been wonderful, absolutely great. And we've been allowed to be involved at a really hands-on level. Within hours, we were down at ground level doing the same work as the team. So it's been great, yeah.
When you start to dig, you don't really understand what you're looking at. And then slowly, as you work with the trowel and scrape off layers, like the soil starts to change and the quality of the soil starts to change and the colours start to change.
We're just looking at events in the past and we're trying to piece together how those things happened. We rely on the experience of having seen similar things before, and you build up the experience over many, many years. Every different colour in the soil is an event, and we're trying to put those events back into the sequence that they happened and extrapolate a larger picture for the site and help us interpret everything that's going on here. Even these later features do help us piece together the story of what's happened here over the thousands of years. When I'm not doing archaeology, I'm reading about it. And when we go on holidays, we're looking at it. You're piecing together all the experience. It's just something that we do. And I like photography and I like art, and so it's all colours. All the clues are in the colours and texture.
9 years ago, I came here and I met parts of the team, and it really strengthened my will to become a field archaeologist. And by now I finished studying, I became a field archaeologist, and now I came back to work with this great inspiring team again. And yeah, I'm just having a very good time because this is an intriguing site as well.
We've opened 2 more sections across the ditch. We had opened one at the north and in the west. We opened one due east. And in that section that we opened due east, we have found the crossing of the ditch, because the ditch is quite massive.
It's not as straightforward as it was on the Western Trench last year. You know, there's a lot more analysis will need to be done on this trench here, particularly concerning this central balk here.
Why did I leave that section there? So you start to imagine that maybe it is some sort of crossing point to go from the outside, cross over the water-filled ditch to get into the central area.
We have found evidence for 2 lines of post holes, and 2 massive post holes on the outside, about 70 centimetres in diameter, 4 smaller posts inside that by about 2 metres, and we reckon that the other side is to the south of us, under the boundary wall between this field and a modern house that has been built partly on the monument. So this seems to reflect a bridge type structure across the ditch at this point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The impression that Michael and Frank got when they looked at it, so they looked at the curve which is in the body of it, and they look at how it extends in this direction, that it might possibly be a vessel of some sort, like a wooden bowl.
Yeah.
So this is excellent. This is a really, really good find. Okay.
No.
I would say the most important piece that has been found within the trench
Yes.
so far.
Yes. Okay.
You could actually chip off as much as you think is safe.
Yeah.
And we'll keep the rest in together.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
While the wood fragment looks fairly innocuous to the layman, when examined by experts, it'll be possible to extrapolate the shape and size of the bowl when it dates to how it was crafted and the type of wood used. But we can only speculate what it was used for, whether it was an everyday vessel or reserved for more special occasions.
The 25-inch map of the site, which you see here overlain on a modern aerial photograph, does record a feature which, from local information, we were led to believe was a pond. And we discovered in the second section that it is indeed a pond. There's about 1.5 metres of modern fill on top of the pond, which was infilled in the 50s and 60s.
This mound here seems to be the bottom of the bank. On the outside of it is where the original pond was. We can see that it's just starting to fill up with water, and we have the line of the pond here represented by a layer of silt. The unusual thing about this ditch is that it's a lot narrower than what we found previously. Interestingly, it looks like this ditch has curved in, narrowed to accommodate the pond, which would suggest that the pond was an integral part of this monument as well. So there was some element of water ritual incorporated into the construction of the monument.
So that's another important thing, because if you like, ritual or sacred ponds are very often a feature of some of the so-called royal sites in Ireland, and it does seem that this natural pond was incorporated as part of the overall monument. We don't know as yet what depth the silts in the ponds are. They could be quite deep. Hopefully before the end of next week we will do a small bit of investigation in that area, which is flooded still, and hopefully get a date of the upper level of the silts, which will give us an idea maybe of how far down we'd have to go to get material that might relate to the use of it in the Bronze Age and the Iron Age.
I rehabilitate wildlife. I have a constant flow of animals coming and going, and who's with me now is a swift, and they need feeding every 2 hours. The swift had to come along on the dig. Isn't she incredible? Even though they're very challenging, I really adore saving swifts. They're endangered. Just like these are monuments, and that's why we can protect them more. And the more people know about them, they can be more protected, just like with the wildlife.
After 2 fairly vigorous days cleaning, we've come to this rather interesting configuration of relatively small but very tightly packed stones. The theory as of today is that it's a type of cobbling, a floor area, and may have been part of an entrance to the complex. These are really, really well set into that white, grey, almost cement-like layer.
We found this white clay floor, very deliberately prepared levelling floor, last year. We have found that again this year, and it's quite extensive. It extends over pretty much all of the monument, and this white clay was also used at the basal foundations, if you like, for both the inner and outer banks in the Iron Age.
Like last year we found, you know, the post holes coming down this side, and I don't know. It's just, you kind of want a sense of completion, you know, who knows what you're going to find. So you feel like you're going to maybe miss out on some major discovery, you know, that you didn't have last year that you'll make this year.
We have found a central post or socket for a stone or a wooden post that seems to be central to the post ring, which we have confirmed this year now did extend around all the surviving area of the monument and probably continued to the south into where the modern house is.
See that? Okay.
At this stage we have 72 posts in that ring. We're a little, slightly over half of the original diameter of that ring has been exposed. So you're probably talking about in the region of 130 to 140 posts in the complete ring. And we do know from radiocarbon dating last year that that ring dates to the early Bronze Age. As I say, we have the post ring, but very interestingly we now have a number of stake holes that are all very similar diameter sizes, about 13 centimetres deep, about 4 centimetres in diameter, that are located about 9 centimetres inside the post hole.
I was looking around and I thought, I think I can see stake holes on the opposite side of the post holes as well. That's going to change the whole view of what the site looked like. You know, was the site more hidden from view, and were the stake holes a part of that, supporting the fencing? And then I was trying to stop myself seeing patterns, because then I was imagining, okay, is my mind seeing a pattern that isn't there? And so what I use is, I use these, and I'm feeling in the ground to see if there's give in the ground. And if there's give in the ground, and if it slides all the way down, I know that I have a stake hole. And so it's laborious, but Michael said, go find some more so that, you know, we can verify that there is a pattern. So, and that was on an evening. And when I came back in the next morning, I couldn't wait to get down onto the site to see if I could find 3 more. And I found 3 more, and I was like, yes, this pattern. I was thrilled.
I suppose the most important find we got last year was actually the human remains in the very base of the ditch. Almost a complete spine, the 2 femurs and some other bones. And this year in the second section we opened, we have potentially more human bone, but that yet has to be confirmed.
The skeleton that was found here was a youngish man, and he was buried under hazel, which would suggest the belief at that time was that they didn't want his spirit or his soul to emerge from the grave. And how, like we see here, where there would have been human sacrifices, it could tell you a lot about who the person was that was sacrificed.
Covered with a layer of hazel, brushwood and big rocks put on top. The only place we got big rocks. No head, femurs cut off, both the knees.
Ritual killing.
Ritual killing.
Oh my gosh, Jesus Christ.
And no head, yeah. Let's get the vet. There's a rib down there. And the question is it animal or human?
Okay. Coming onto the dig, I was like, oh my, I have a scientific background, I won't be able to contribute much. And then once we started finding little pieces of animal teeth in particular, which were fascinating earlier this week, to be able to kind of say, oh well, I'm actually able to help. There was a little bit of debate around some of the teeth in terms of sheep versus deer. So I went off and did my little nerdy self. I went and did a lot of research and looked at some graphs and pictures and stuff, and came back in ready for road. And now I'm kind of, I'm obsessed. I think it's fascinating to see what you can discover from such a small piece of an animal. Keith pulled these up, but they're long bone. I ain't human. It's like a cattle rib to me. Yeah, they don't have that flare at the bottom either.
Okay, Sarah, now could you go back over and give us the right answer, please?
We had a very exciting day yesterday. It started off with Isabel finding a Bronze Age ring.
Isabel found a beautiful ring in a very unexpected area. We weren't really thinking there would be anything there. But Isabel uncovered this beautiful penannular ring.
To find something that had been cast and made and someone wore, it's just, hairs in the back of your neck.
Obviously it's a valuable material, so this is someone high status, like a king or a lord, or perhaps a queen, or someone who is very, very important. They would have had it on their hands, I imagine.
She was a little late to the site that day, and she was put into a very, I thought, very barren corner. I didn't think there was anything in that corner. And what did I say to Isabel? I said, don't be too careful, just clean it out, be a bit medieval about it. And she said, yes, I will. Of course, she ignored my instructions.
Yeah, it was
darkened earth.
It was darkened earth, yeah, and it was in a pocket of the white. I was cleaning back to the white.
She made an idiot of me.
A couple of items that we have found. The first is a shaped bit of timber. Was it part of a crossing? Was it part of that structure? probably get a date on this based on where it was found in the ditch and the amount of charcoal we also pulled out of that ditch as well surrounding this piece of timber. So another item we found is a couple of leather strips. This is from the pond area, approximately 1.5 meters below the surface. That is in the base of the pond. It gives you an enthusiasm to actually come back to this site and to find what else is here, what else can we find, what else can we piece together to learn more about this site.
I mean, this is just a selection of what we have come across already within the pond. Now, it was necessary to put some water in with these just to preserve them. There was also a leaf in excellent state of preservation.
Currently, this is the largest bit of bone that was found. We were digging away yesterday and I spotted little fragments of bone which are in there. They're just smaller little pieces that I don't want to touch. And when I saw them, I just ran it by one of the lads to confirm that it was bone. And when they said it was, Frank let me at it. I thought I was going to be removed. He got me finer tools and let me have at it. I ended up taking out a big wedge of dirt underneath it as well, just so it wouldn't fall apart.
Over the last 3 years, we've been finding a lot of these on the site. And the interesting thing that we thought that these could be are offerings to the site or to the gods that they believe in or they worship. Everybody, even nowadays, like to hold these stones, and we think that this is a nice connection with the ancient people. They like doing the same things as we do.
Remember the piece of wood he was showing you that he thought was the base of the bowl? They identified that straight away. It's an Iron Age oak bowl. They can see where the marks were made with a metal bit. And if it tallies with the dates we had last year, which was around 80 BC, then it'll be the oldest such bowl found in Ireland to date, you know, which is another little, you know, competitive archaeology. We like that stuff. And now you brought the rain, Lou.
I think this is the most exciting place being excavated at the moment. There are well-known royal sites in every other province bar Munster, so it's pretty exciting that this could be it. And I think it belongs in Kerry.
It's now when archaeology becomes history, because, you know, this is, you know, the name of this place is, you know, the meeting of the five, you know, what were the meeting, you know, so.
We have answered a number of the questions we have, but needless to say, it's like any archaeological excavation, the more you dig, the more questions you have.